Bună ziua și bine v-am regăsit. În întâlnirea precedentă am discutat cu Alexandra, în prezentarea materialului nostru. Alexandra a atins două subiecte extraordinar de importante. A vorbit întâi despre cum sunt clienții primiți atunci când vin într-o clinică de acest gen, de tratare a adicțiilor, și au parte de un assessment, de o întâlnire în care primesc câteva întrebări. De asemenea, tu ai vorbit, aș vrea să detaliezi un pic treaba asta, că mi s-a părut foarte interesantă, tocmai pentru că, din păcate, în România nu avem parte de o abordare holistică a pacientului sau a clientului, cum îl numești tu atât de bine și de corect. Și în al doilea rând ai pomenit de asemenea despre adicția și despre incidența crescută în România a alcoolului și a consumului de droguri. Și aici este extraordinar de relevant cumva să ne vorbești despre aceste adicții, de ce sunt specifice României. Aici e foarte interesant, apropo de ce ai spus, că focusul nu este neapărat pe adicție, ci pe ceea ce cauzează adicția. Și e interesant de văzut de ce România are acest potențial. Și ce m-ar mai interesa, și cred că și pe cei care ne urmăresc, este această diferență între cannabisul folosit în scop recreațional și care poate de cele mai multe ori de pe piața neagră nu este același cannabis pe care, nu poate, sigur, nu este același pe care îl utilizăm în scop medical. Și e foarte importantă de făcut această departajare, pentru că în România principalul argument pe care îl folosesc autoritățile este acela că dacă ar aproba utilizarea cannabisului în scop medical, s-ar crea o oportunitate de creștere a adicției de droguri în România. Bine ai venit, Alexandra, și mulțumesc tare mult încă o dată pentru tot ajutorul tău.
Bine v-am găsit, Alexandra. Thank you so much for having me. Yes, these are great questions, Alexandra. They're phenomenal questions because these are very much asked, and not only that, but there's a lot of stigma as well into the substances in general, and cannabis and addiction. I feel like it's not very much understood. What is addiction? And the way I mentioned earlier, of course, regarding the intake assessment in our treatment center. So one of the first things that we do when a client does come into our treatment center, and we're able to assess the psychological lens and the biopsychosocial lens of how we're going to support this client through their treatment and their recovery. We complete an assessment called the Adverse Childhood Assessment. There are 10 questions, and basically the questions are related to any mental, physical, abuse in the home. If the child, and this is a question that is under 18, so it's based from when you're born to 18. So there's very, very important brain development stages during those age, and the brain develops, and the body as well is growing, and there's so many things happen in the human body for a child going into adulthood. So therefore, there's a lot of things happening into the brain. There's a foundation of wiring, right, that we call conditioning of our environments as well. And I'll talk about that later on. But with that being said, it's about what that individual is facing. What are they able to, what is around them? What is surrounding them? So that could be from questions from, have you ever seen anyone be physically abused in your home? Have you ever been physically abused as a child? And, have you ever been abused and physically abused? Any difficult punishments that you've had? One of the things that we desire as humans is attachment. We need attachment. We need attachment as infants. We need attachment to our mother. We need attachment. So as you can see, any kind of behavior against that to the child, rejecting him, abandoning him, being rude, could really psychologically affect the child. And I'll get more into that. But these are very important questions. And the idea is that we've seen statistically that anybody that scores between 4 or 5 or over have a higher significant chance of being addicted. So with that being said, and this is the statistics of developmental trauma. So let's think about that. Let's think a little bit about what I was mentioning. So we're saying, the first thing we're doing when we're going into treatment is we're doing an assessment to see if the person has any developmental trauma. So then my next phase is, okay, so do we think addiction is because of what the person is using? Like that's the main factor and that's the reason. So that kind of gets me into alcohol and cannabis, for example, right? Or Or is addiction a factor of something else that happened prior? Because addiction doesn't start first, right? No one's born necessarily addictive. Yes, there is addictive genes, right? That also plays. Anyone else been in your household addictive? That's a whole other situation. But no one actually is born addictive. So what is that? Why the pain? What occurs? So now it's not the substance that we're talking about, because with that being said, we've seen the negative aspects of alcohol, and around the world, no one is, no one's at the store asking you for a card. They can only have one beer a day, or limiting your alcohol intake, or asking you what you're going to be doing later on. It's very normalized. It's in our homes. We celebrate things with it. We advertise that we do. And we've seen the psychological negative aspects that it caused throughout the years, and no one's saying anything about it. And the addictive factors as well. But is it the alcohol necessarily? Yes, that also plays a part. I'm not saying no with excess and using it for a amount of time. Yes, it's also the substance. It's also one of the worst substances to withdraw from, and the most dangerous ones. And people have seizures and hallucinations, and they can honestly die. They're more likely to pass away due to withdrawal from alcohol than mostly any other substance. So with that being said, we see it everywhere. And so is it necessarily the substance, or is it the addiction? Is it prolonged from somewhere else? Because with addiction, there's co-occurring disorders. Addiction does not come alone. So when I'm talking about co-occurring disorders, I'm talking about anxiety, trauma. I'm talking about bipolar. I'm talking about, there's other depression. There's other things involved mentally to be addicted. So with that being said, cannabis, for example, something that we've seen so much benefit, and I'm not saying with excess and using so much, there's not side effects. Of course, that's the same way we give psychotic medication to patients or clients that are suffering with mental health illnesses that are very addictive. If we look at the chemical structure of Ritalin or Adderall that we prescribe to ADHD, it's very, very much like meth. So with that being said, you could see that very much. So why are we selling that in our pharmacies and not something that has been so beneficial? And I just want to add with this, but not only is cannabis used as recreational, and yeah, that's a whole other conversation, but the medical purposes, not only is it used as a harm reduction. What would you rather have, someone smoking cannabis or someone drinking? Right? If you look at that, and the deaths that it's caused, alcohol takes it away 100%. So with that being said, and also with epilepsy, seizures, cancer, pain, anorexia, so many benefits of cannabis. So my question is, and again, like coming from Romania as well, like being Romanian, even though I was never raised in Romania practically, and living in Canada, but being in both cultures and seeing it being developed here, and the purpose, and people are seeking the help, it really does affect me when I see that our country is not benefiting from this, and we're not actually using something that be so beneficial in an environment that we can secure it, just like any other medication that we're selling at the pharmacy.
E foarte interesant ceea ce spui și, într-adevăr, este trist, dar în același timp, prin persoane ca tine, care mai ales că ești în România și că îți dorești tare mult ca expertiza ta să ajute țara noastră, putem afla că, de fapt, ceea ce noi vorbim acum nu este, dacă acum câțiva ani existau persoane, pentru că știu că și pe parcursul bolii mamei mele m-am documentat despre lucrurile acestea și erau foarte multe persoane, din păcate chiar și unii medici, care cumva considerau că sunt mai mult niște lucruri empirice, cumva niște lucruri SF nesusținute științific. Acum însă, știința ne arată tot mai mult că există răspunsuri în acest sens, există dovezi clare. Mai mult decât atât, practica este chiar mai importantă decât ce ne arată știința, că există pacienți care au îmbunătățiri și care, efectiv, uite, cum lucrați voi în Canada, trăiesc anumite schimbări sau au șansa de a-și reveni și de a-și recupera, practic, abilitatea de a funcționa normal în viața de zi cu zi, nefiind condamnați, neavând un stigmat tot restul vieții. Nu știu ce aș putea să te mai întreb în încheiere, aș vrea doar să să spui pentru materialul de astăzi dacă nu știu, în cadrul întâlnirilor pe care le ai la început cu clienții, vezi la ei o reținere, o rușine în a-și exprima traumele sau a vorbi despre ceea ce tu ai spus, dacă a existat un moment declanșator, dacă au simțit un abuz în copilărie, pentru că te întreb asta, pentru că în România, de exemplu, din păcate, sunt încă foarte mulți care au această rușine în a-și exprima durerea și trauma respectivă, ca și cum vina este a lor, neînțelegând de fapt că eliberând-o ar putea avea șansa de a se vindeca. Și aș vrea cumva, dacă poți să-mi vorbești un pic despre treaba asta cu rușinea și rolul important pe care îl are în parcurgerea unei terapii ulterioare.
That's an amazing question, Alexandra. And it's very much, we have a whole week on shame and guilt, actually, that we provide and we teach. You know, what is shame and guilt? Where does shame and guilt come from? How does shame and guilt affect the brain? How does it affect our thinking pattern, our distortions, our listening blocks? You know, how we perceive a situation when we're a child that is traumatic. And just the way you said, Alexandra, I really like that, the shame of thinking I'm at fault. And this is where addiction, that is a mental health disorder, does not align with the person's spirit or soul or themselves, whatever an individual would like to believe. But you can see that unalignment, right? Because if they were really much, this is where addiction doesn't have no love. It doesn't know any of that. It's not about how much I love you, how much I care about you, or anything. This is the mental illness of taking over. So that's where we try to normalize the situation. And other things, you know, we will get into, you know, hopefully talking about self-medicating and what that means, and using other substances that we've seen people use. And we've seen that that's the chemical imbalance that they're actually missing. So we'll talk more about that. So with that being said, the biopsychosocial lens really supports an individual to understand that addiction is not necessarily them. It's what happened to them. It's, you know, and we are a product of our time. Us as individuals are a product of our time. So if I talk about that, it's our life. You know, our behaviors are related to our emotions. So with that being said, we really do try to normalize this shame and understand that it's not them. They weren't born addicts. You know, something happened, and that's where I would really like to open up the discussion even later on, but with stress and cortisol levels and how that affects the brain and mental health and physical health. And we have other issues that occur physically within our bodies due to stress. We have ulcers. You know, why can we get ulcers when we're stressed? Or, you know, how is that related? You know, so there's so many aspects. So that's why we try to normalize the aspect, because it could be issues that they didn't have the opportunities as children to get the support they needed. So there's so many other things involved to it. So that's just a little bit of how we eliminate the shame and the guilt in our treatment centers. And everyone that works there does have the biopsychosocial lens. You know, there is no judgment, and judgment is also a listening block. It's a distortion. So if we're judging, that's a great way to look within us and be like, why am I judging now? And yeah, so there's different forms to looking at it, but that's a great question. Thank you for asking that.
Și eu îți mulțumesc tare mult, Alexandra, și avem iarăși o mulțime de alte discuții care acum au ieșit la suprafață și putem să le continuăm în emisiunile următoare. Cred că deja putem să adresăm rugămintea celor care ne urmăresc să ne scrie să ne lase comentarii și să ne pună întrebări pe care, nu știu, vor să le abordăm, subiecte pe care vor să le abordăm. Îți mulțumesc încă o dată și pe data viitoare.
Thank you so much for having me. Goodbye.